This Icon podcast is hosted and sponsored by Sphere Rocket Virtual Assistants, a leading provider for your virtual assistants and outsourcing needs. Owned by one of the top-ranking EXP agents, Justin Nelson. Sphere Rocket VA provides a one-stop virtual staffing solution for business owners, and we specialize in helping business owners grow their business by leveraging through virtual assistants. Trusted by the top names in the real estate industry like Kyle Whistle, Andrew Franklin, John Kitchens, and many more. Get ready to up your success and we'll help you achieve your business goals. Book your free consultation at sphererocketva.com and find out how we can make your life easier.
Welcome back to another episode of the Icon Podcast. I'm your host, Gianna, and today we have the pleasure of talking to Leila. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Name. I'm so excited to have you. We're going to, we chatted a little bit off camera, got to know each other. So I think this is going to be an awesome podcast. Clicked pretty good. So Leila, take us back to the beginning. Who are you? How'd you get in real estate? What market are you in? And, what's your story?
What's my story? Okay, I got into real estate 4.5 years ago. I am originally from Florida, but I've moved to Michigan to follow a boy. Nobody ever goes that direction. It's always like Michigan to Florida, but here we are.
Hey, following boys, man. It's tough. Are you still with him?
Yes. Yeah. Happily married, couple babies. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right, worth it. I was ready for the other shoe to drop on that story immediately, but okay. We're doing good.
We're doing good. We're doing great.
I love that. Well, keep going.
Yeah. So I actually have an accounting degree, and I did that for 10 plus years. I ran my own little business doing bookkeeping and taxes, and that was really boring, like not fulfilling whatsoever, sitting behind a desk, like never interacting with people. And so on a whim, after like analyzing a bunch of different business options, I decided that I would get into real estate. And so told my husband on a Monday morning, I'm going to become a realtor, signed up for my 40-hour class here, took the state test the next week, and off I went.
Dang, you cranked it out. Okay. And I know we talked before we started recording that you were good at math. I didn't think, accountant level good. So dang, I'm learning so much. I thought we had a good talk before this, but that's great. Leila. So how were you introduced to EXP then? Was it your first brokerage? Did somebody, snag you from another one? How'd you break up with that brokerage? What's the story there?
Yeah. So the story is I did not start off my career at EXP. I started off my career at Century 21. Okay. I went with a small brokerage office in our downtown area in Rochester, and that broker had been in business for 45 years. So it was a very safe starting point. And as you know, that 40-hour class that you take does not prepare you for what real estate is all about.
Nothing.
Right?
Nothing. Yep.
It's
I get it.
Yeah, I'm okay, there should be there should be a long course of okay, you're becoming a realtor, you're starting your business, this is what it really entails.
Here's this, here's that. Yeah, no, they're memorize these definitions that you're never going to use again. And good luck learning how to write an offer letter.
Right?
Get out there.
Yeah. What is networking? What is commission? What are splits? What is this? Nothing.
Yeah. I totally get it. So how'd you get, they kind of mentored you through that?
Yeah, they mentored me through that. I was with them for 3 years. But then I was always at the top. So I was always a top producer in my office, and that meant really giving away a lot of money. And so I was like, wait a second, I got into this to start my own business, not to run somebody else's business and make them, a lot of money off of my sweat equity. So then I started exploring I interviewed at so many different brokerages in my accounting background. I literally created an Excel spreadsheet, and it was okay, if I do, $5 million every single year, what does that look like at, Century 21? What does it look like at EXP, KW, Real Estate One, Caldwell Banker, Remax? I literally had an Excel spreadsheet. And at the end of the day, it was okay, I can make the most amount of money at EXP. And I took my time and really analyzed it. I took too much time, if you want to know the truth. It took me a year of attending things and just watching. And my sponsor is actually Amy out of Arizona. So she's not even here in my local area. But it was okay, eventually it's okay, what are you waiting for?
Right. No, I totally get that. Like, and I wish you would have done it sooner, and stock options, collaboration, rev share, all this. And like you mentioned, leaving so much money on the table, and then running somebody else's business when you can be literally earning that cap back as you've experienced as an icon agent, which is incredible. And so, Leila, now that you're over EXP, what's your favorite part about it? Like, what have you come over and discovered? Maybe something you weren't expecting or knew about, but didn't think would be as great as, they advertised it to be.
Yeah, I would say the amount of collaboration. So, like, my upline is just fantastic. And I think that's probably one of the things that when I was doing my Excel spreadsheet that I didn't take, I took it into consideration, but until you experience that, you can't really understand what that means.
Mhm.
And just being able to collaborate. I mean, I have like, they've become dear friends of mine, but I have an investment property now in Kentucky with one of the agents that's in, she's not like, in my downline or upline, but she's in our group. So I have, that, and just the amount of collaboration, like to be able to jump on my Facebook chat and just like ask them a question. Hey guys, I have this going on. How would you handle it? And, every week we're meeting.
Comments like immediately.
Yeah, exactly. And just like every week there's so many meetings, like I can't even attend them anymore because there's just so many training, valuable things. I mean, if you want to learn anything, and that wasn't at my old brokerage. I mean, we had a 50-person office, and they were kind and loving and caring. And if I had a question to one of the top, producers that was in the office at the time, they would do their best to answer it. But there wasn't, I don't even know how many are on my upline, honestly, but there wasn't that 3,000 agents who are just willing to share because I have something, right, that's valuable to them, and they have something that's valuable to me. And so we're all willing to like share and collaborate. And my business is literally, I mean, I don't know, I should have the math, but I closed 33 deals to Icon. I had never gotten anywhere close to that in the 3 years before. So yeah.
It's crazy. The amount of just like leveraging with EXP and the amount of production that you can get done, and like the rapidness that you can get help and mentorship and jumping into EXP world. It's pretty cool.
It's really awesome. I mean, I jump onto the workplace chat all the time and hit one of the brokers up here in Michigan for a question, and they always get back to me like right away, pick up the phone and call or whatever. Like, oh, I would handle it like this. Okay, great. Just making sure I'm on the right track.
It's awesome. I love that part of it. And it's been something that just stands out about EXP compared to other brokerages. And Leila, before we get into the Icon Award, let's talk about you. You said, you're a wife, you're a mom. You got a lot going on, kind of running your own business, lots of production. So how do you chase this work-life balance that everybody talks about?
Oh, I suck at that. I'm going to be honest.
How do you try? All the realtors I've talked to suck at it. Like, don't get me wrong. But how do you try to recharge? How do you try to be, your best self to your clients, your family, your spouse, your business partners, upline, whatever that is? What fuels you?
Yeah. Well, I would definitely say letting go of that control was like really the key, like hiring the transaction coordinator. Yeah. And for a long time, I was hesitant about that, right? Letting go of that control. So I think that the key to the work-life balance is just understanding we all have 24 hours in a day, and that you have to start to delegate, right? Like you just do. So my first one was the transaction coordinator. That's freed up a lot of my time. And remember, like everything I do is analyzed from an accounting background. So at first I was like, oh, giving away this money. And then it's like, no, honestly, giving away a small piece of money to gain back my time is well worth it. So just learning to give up some of those things to a transaction coordinator. And recently I brought on a personal assistant to help me from, day to day, because I stage some of my properties when they need staging. So just having someone, hey, can you come help me load up the U-Haul and pack and unpack and set it up? And hey, I started doing door hangers. So there was a lot of things that I wanted to always get to for that work-life balance. And I was just like burning out. Like, okay, I'm up at 6 a.m. I put the kids to bed, and then I'm on my laptop till 11, and I'm still have this to-do list and I'm not getting to. So then it was just like, all right, if you want to get to everything, you got to ask for help. So that's how I do it. Ask for help.
Absolutely. And leveraging that out is just it's the only answer to, taking your business to the next level, increasing that production, And then you're thinking, oh gosh, I've got to pay this assistant. But in reality, you're also making more money because you've invested in that assistant. You have to spend money to make money. And I mean that. I'll die on that hill.
100%. Yeah. It's like, okay. Like yesterday let's see, I have 4 listings right now. There's no way I could have done what I needed to do yesterday and then go hang door hangers on all of those places and put out directional signs.
Right. No way. Mm-hmm.
But
it's tough. And, when it comes to social media and following up on leads and everything else, I mean, there's so much more that you can leverage out. It's like you can never have enough help when it comes to this industry, especially at the production you're pulling off.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. That's awesome. Well, let's talk about the Icon Award then, right? So we talked, you did 33 transactions to Icon in total, but about how many houses did you have to sell? Obviously doing the math, 13 to hit that cap. So what's the average price point in your market? Have you moved up in that price point since hitting that 13? What's the general picture there?
Well, so my philosophy has always been I help whoever that comes into my life. And so our average,
I've been preaching that because when people are like, oh, I missed Icon by 2 transactions. I'm like, did you not help an FHA person? It's hard to feel sorry when they miss it by 2 transactions and they're turning away business. So I love that, Leila. Keep it up. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's just what my philosophy has been and it works. So if someone's trying to figure out what works, literally whoever comes through the door, I help regardless of where it's at, what the price point is. So, I mean, if you took out, because I do vacant land, I do investment properties for fix and flips, I do, single family residence, I do duplexes. So it's hard to, average across the board in our area is probably 250,000. But if you look at what I'm selling, I just closed on a Detroit house, which I've never done before, at $81,000. My highest listing's been 1.3 million. So I really do help everybody in between.
I love that. It's so smart. Best business model. The commission checks may not be there, but when you've got plenty of transactions to get you to Icon and you get that cap back, you thank yourself, right? So that's a good tactic at tackling iconing just in general for those listening. And Leila, we talked a little bit about it before we got on, but the cultural commitment, there's a new system for it, but for the sake of simplicity, what do you normally take for your route for cultural commitment to give back to EXP and the people in EXP world?
Yeah. So this will be my first time iconing because I just completed my first year here at EXP.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So when I did it, the cultural commitment was, I think there's a few options, but the one I've signed up for is teaching inside of EXP World. So I'll do that 6 times throughout the year, this upcoming year. So I think my first time is supposed to be in August, but I better get on it because I don't have my slide deck prepared yet.
We got a couple weeks, so we'll be all right. We're all right.
Yeah, so that's going to be I think just for simplicity reasons, the first time around, that's what I'll do. And then maybe next year when I icon, there'll be a point system and it'll be a little bit different. So I'll try out some other things.
She says when I icon, not if I icon. Everybody listen to that too. She's got a plan. And if you don't set your goals there, you're not don't underset your goals. You know what I'm saying? And that's something big I've learned on this podcast as well. And Leila, what's been your favorite part about iconing? You get this great reputation. It's easy to throw referrals to you because they know you'll get the job done. You get your cap back in stock, opportunity to go to EXPCon, shareholders, a nice big shining glass trophy. So what stands out to you? What makes you say, man, I've got to icon again next year for sure?
Yeah, I think my first year, it was just my goal when I came over to EXP, to prove that, hey, look, you can go work somewhere where you can earn your, cap back. And everyone honestly was like, that's such bullshit. It's not going to happen. And I was like, okay, don't tell me that's not going to happen.
About 2,400 people out of 80,000 have done it, Leila. So that's awesome that you did it first year.
Yeah. So I think just honestly making that goal for myself and achieving that goal is the best thing about the whole icon. And then getting the money back and, in stock is a nice bonus. Cause for me, for me as a kid, it was always work hard and be rewarded, but that's not actually how our society.
You're working hard and being rewarded, but don't undermine yourself. But you're right. You know, you could be putting in 80 hours a week at a different position and not be touching the money, the opportunity, the retirement that this little stock option can like put forward for you.
Yeah. No, I can't wait to see in 3 years what my
16,000
is worth.
Yesterday was like, invest now. Don't look at it for 5 years.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Like, good plan. Just forget about it. And then you're like, oh, happy surprise.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. No, that's always my strategy. If I'm investing in something, it means I don't need to touch that money. Like,
right.
If you need to touch some money, don't invest.
Yep. Good point, Leila. And so, you know, that's the stock options that you really like. Okay, awesome. And then you, we're talking about that you iconed your first year, which kind of brings me to my next question, which is it possible to icon your first year, right? So obviously you've proved that, which is great. What are some mistakes that maybe people watching should stray away from if they're shooting for that same goal? What are little goals you set out for yourself and kind of your secret weapon for iconing your first year?
Yeah. So I would recommend everyone has an Excel spreadsheet or whatever type of tracking.
That's the accountant in her talking.
Yes. And I say that because I honestly didn't have it in front of me when I was like trying to icon. And I have this local agent who was like, well, where are you? What are you doing? Like, how do you not know how many deals you need? Like, you need to know this. How can you accomplish something if you don't have the data?
Yeah.
Man, like so spot on. So then I like did my Excel spreadsheet and I was like, oh my gosh. And like 1.5 months, I need 5 point something transactions. And then you're like, okay, how am I going to make this happen? Like you learn what you can and cannot use as a transaction. You know, one of my deals I double dipped on and I was rolling over. I had capped in the middle of the deal. So like, you know, when you double dip a deal, it doesn't count for icon. So you start to learn like all the little nuances of like, okay, how am I going to achieve this? So I would say like anyone that actually wants to icon, have that Excel spreadsheet where you're tracking your deals that have closed, you're tracking those hot leads, you're tracking what's pending, and you really know like, okay, this is how much I need. Like I started that like 2 days ago. I was like, okay, I'm about to cap. Like how many more transactions are in my pipeline right now that is going to cap? And then like, how many more am I going to need to icon? So
and is it going to hit before the end of my year?
Right. Like, yeah. How hard do I need to be hustling?
For sure.
You know, because if you don't know how hard you need to be hustling, then you're just kind of like lackadaisical.
Right. And you're like, oh, like making it through the busy season. This is great. Warm weather. Everything's fine. Are you going to have enough? You know, to get you through the fall and winter and push you over that icon, you know, cap and transaction requirement.
Yeah. And I would say because the goal of mine was to icon, I learned how to follow up. I learned how to start talking to leads that, you know, and I really need to work on that. But I had no, like what I learned is I had no follow-up game. I had no like strategy on how to talk to leads. I don't know scripts. Like I didn't. So I was like, okay, if, you know, I'm going to go from like 1 to 2 transactions to, you know, 10 transactions in a month, you better step it up. Absolutely.
No, I love that. That's a good, you know, mentality to have, and having that in front of you so you don't have to wonder where you're at. You know exactly where you're at, how many meaningful conversations you need to be having a day to get to that next position is a really good strategy.
For sure.
And Leila, we're coming up on 20 minutes, so I've got my last question for you. It's kind of a 2-part question, but the first part is going to be, you know, were you ever skeptical of EXP, kind of saw the greener grass, waiting on that other shoe to drop?
Yeah, like I said, it took me a year of analyzing it. One, I thought it was too good to be true. So that's kind of what I was skeptical about. Like, okay. And then I was talking to the wrong people. And so when you talk to the wrong people, they're going to put negative thoughts into your head, or they're going to put thoughts into your head and they don't really know, right? They're just repeating what they've heard, and you have to remember where their motivation came from. So it took me a year because I was listening and chatting with people, and they were like planting those seeds of like, no, it can't be that good to be true. So, right. But everything that they told me is bullshit.
Yeah, the brokerages. And, I heard a guy tell me he had like a 2-page list from his broker when he was looking at switching that he found out was all false.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to go straight to the source. And, for my next part of the question, Leila, what would you have to say to somebody who's sitting on that fence, or maybe even yourself, if you could go back in time? What would you say to yourself to make yourself make that jump? The number one thing I hear is that I wish I would have done it sooner. So, how would you have that conversation with someone now, or yourself back when you were skeptical and could have been earning cap back in stock and leaving so much money on the table?
For sure. If I could go back and tell myself, wow. Just rip the Band-Aid off and do it. Because what's the worst case? If you look at it from that standpoint, what is the worst case? You're going to try it, and then all this shenanigans that you've heard about it ends up either being true or not true. Mm-hmm. And I think it's for everybody to prove out themselves if it's the right fit for them. But people switch brokerages every day. Your client is hiring you, Leila Modetz, you, whoever you are. They're not hiring the brokerage behind you. Do you know how many people don't even know what brokerage I was with when I was, currently?
I didn't even know what a brokerage was till I started real estate school. Okay. So
exactly. And so people are like, oh my gosh, I can't leave. Blah, blah, blah. No, if you do a great job, you could be a realtor at any brokerage you want. So absolutely. That's what I would.
Wholeheartedly. It's I like to say that EXP is the bones, and then you get to customize it, right? Much like your character in EXP world, but you get to bring your brand to it, your colors, your whatever you want. No more red and black or black and gold or whatever. Do your thing, and just EXP is just kind of a little sparkle in the corner, right? That's all you have to touch with your brand. A lot of people, you can hardly tell they're with EXP. They don't even care what EXP is. They see your brand, your colors, who you are, and then EXP is more so for you. That's your tools, your resources, but they're buying you.
100%. Yeah. And I think the amount of tools and resources, every brokerage, here's the thing too, every brokerage has training and tools, right? Mm-hmm. It's just when it's agents feeding agents their tools on the ground, because a lot of brokerages, it's made in a university, right? What they're teaching you, you're being taught by someone who isn't even in real estate. They're not boots on the ground selling. Mm-hmm. So it's going to college, right? And you're getting taught by a professor who's not even doing taxes. And then you go and you start doing taxes and you're like, what I learned there, it doesn't even apply here. Right. So that is in my mind, the toolbox of EXP is actually that collaboration of agents who are in production. So
absolutely. Yeah, Leila, I love that. I think that's a great answer. And if you guys are curious about EXP, looking to make the jump, just want to ask some questions without feeling like you're being sold on something, reach out to Leila. We're really happy to answer questions about EXP here, or real estate in general. Happy to share our secrets. But I'll tell you what, you go to your broker right now and ask for your cap back in any way, shape, or form, and it's going to be a tough conversation. That's not going to turn out for you.
No, they're going to laugh you out of their office.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're going to walk out with the tail between your legs, feeling like an idiot. And EXP already offers that to you and so much more. And so reach out, get connected. Don't be asking about EXP from your brokerage. Go straight to the source and look at all the, thousands of people that have made the jump.
For sure. Well, thank you for having me on today.
Leila, thank you. Hoping to meet up with you at EXPCon and catch up IRL. And I'm really excited for that. So let me know if you want to do a spinoff episode anytime. You're always welcome back. And it's been a pleasure getting to know you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Leila. Bye.
This Icon podcast is hosted and sponsored by Sphere Rocket Virtual Assistants, a leading provider for your virtual assistants and outsourcing needs. Owned by one of the top-ranking EXP agents, Justin Nelson. Spear Rocket VA provides a one-stop virtual staffing solution for business owners, and we specialize in helping business owners grow their business by leveraging through virtual assistants. Trusted by the top names in the real estate industry like Kyle Whistle, Andrew Franklin, John Kitchens, and many more. Get ready to up your success, and we'll help you achieve your business goals. Book your free consultation at SpearRocketVA.com and find out how we can make your life easier.